Welcome back. With a mission to teach New York City youth about topics surrounding the idea of consent and relationships, the New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault launched Project Dot. Here to tell us more about the program is Senior Prevention Coordinator Shilpy Chatterjee. Shilpy, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me in the show.
Now, we recently had your organization on the show previously, but for those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit more about your organization?
Sure. So, New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault was founded in 2000 as a response to the need of rape crisis centers in New York City in order for us to be able to advocate for the needs of the survivors and the programs that existed for the survivors. Our mission is to prevent sexual violence and reduce the harm it causes through public education, cutting edge programming, and advocacy for survivors, both at legal as well as policy level.
Now, I think that's really amazing. And today we're going to focus on one of your programs called Project Dot. Can you just let everybody know what Project Dot is?
Project Dot is a youth leadership based sexual violence program. We are engaging youth from New York City's underserved communities, including communities of color, LGBTQIA plus identities that are often not recipients of traditional prevention programming. Project Dot envisions youth as impactful organizers and leaders in their community. And the knowledge that they get through the program, through attending Project Dot, and the confidence that they garner through it, they use it to interact with peers as well as with the leaders and the elders in their communities. So Project Dot creates that safe space for the participants to learn and unlearn and grow together and take the information back to the community. And this is how they interact with the elders or their caretakers, because a lot of the folks the participants are immigrants, and their parents or the caregivers might not have the language to discuss these things. So I think that is another layer which makes it very, very important.
Now, I think this is a really amazing program, and it's something that's really needed because of the subject matter. How old do you have to be? How old do you have to be to join this program?
We have participants as young as 14. So I would say 14 to 21.
Wow, that's amazing. And why? What was the inspiration behind making this a youth-based program?
I think given the rates of sexual violence, which according to US CDC is that 1 in 4 women have experienced rape in their lifetime, and with more than 80% reporting their first victimization before age of 25, and the same report says that 1 in 26 men experience rape in their lifetime, and almost 56.6% have experienced sexual assault before the age of 18. I think these figures are self-explanatory. That is why we need the prevention work, and we have to stop the harm from being happening before it happens, like catch it before it happens.
Now, I really appreciate the fact that you brought those stats in there because you brought up, obviously what, women experience, and you also talked about, what some men experience. Can you just talk about, is this a program available to both males and females? Like, who's the target demographic for the program?
Yeah, it is available to both men and women, because we know that violence is a learned behavior. Violence doesn't discriminate. And it is only because of toxic culture that most men or boys who have experienced violence in their lives, they don't speak up. It's not because they don't experience it, but it's because they don't feel supported enough if they want to speak up. And also we are moving toward partnership. So men have to understand their role in preventing violence, and just to again highlight the fact that violence is a learned behavior, and how programs like Project Dot can support young men and boys to be allies and to speak up for women and not consider this as a women's problem alone. I think that's another very important goal of Project Dot.
Right. Now, why was it important to focus on underserved communities like communities of colors and members of the LGBTQIA plus community?
Yeah, because many or most sexual violence prevention programs, they focus on white heteronormative audience, and that's why there are communities which don't get the kind of support and preventive education that they need. And that's why I think Project Dot is very important, and it is designed with people in mind from underserved communities. And we are constantly updating our curriculum based on their feedback and based on the feedback of the facilitators.
Now, do you think it's a little bit more challenging for people in lower income communities or communities of color or any marginalized community to have these conversations about consent and sexual violence?
I think there is definitely there is a I mean, they don't have access to as much resources as somebody else would, and also, like I said, the immigrant community, they also don't have the language to discuss these things, and they are so caught up in other realities of life that this is something that they don't end up focusing on. And I think that is why Project Dot gives them that safe space to talk about it and take it back to their communities. And we are updating the communities based on their lived experience, based on what their community needs. And I think that is not just helping them grow, that's helping the whole society grow.
Now, what can participants expect when they join this program?
I think the first and the foremost is they can expect a very non judgmental and safe space to learn and unlearn. They can expect to be heard. And I would also say that this our approach is nothing about us without us. So we are including them constantly in the conversation, and the facilitators only guide the conversations. It's them who actually lead the conversation. It's their lived experiences. Like I would say, during the project day. So what happens is that after 12 weeks of workshops and trainings, finally the kids they have a social media campaign or a community project day where they present about the topics that they really that spoke to them. And this year, we recently finished a cohort in Bronx, and the topics were intimate partner violence and bystander intervention, consent. But one young person, it was so wonderful to watch. She actually talked about female genital mutilation, which was not even in the curriculum. But she felt that she could talk about it because it was a safe space. And in that cohort, nobody, maybe they had heard about it, but most of them, it seemed like did not know much about it. And the energy in the room was so full of love and empathy, as if they are in this together. And I think that was the biggest success of this cohort. And that is something that I will cherish as long as I'm in this world, because one young person chose to own it and share it with her peers, and that was a highlight of my career, if I can say so.
No, I think that's really amazing, and as you can see, it's kind of a rewarding experience. You know, how do you handle talking about these topics with people that are so young?
Yeah, that so first of all, I think it's just that we let them bring it up themselves, and when they feel comfortable in that room, in that time, and there is no rush. Plus, we also encourage them to leave the room if it gets hard and heavy at any time, and then they can speak with their facilitators or anybody they want to and discuss more about it. So there is no rush. It's absorbing, participating, but there is no way we can say this is more participation and this is less participation, because everybody has their own journey, and everybody just being there is also participation in my understanding.
Now, I'm really curious to know, for a long time, topics surrounding sex and relationships were considered controversial, especially when children or young people are involved. Do you think this program can put an end to that?
It's a long road ahead, but this is definitely a beginning, definitely a wonderful start. And I would say that because it is coming from a reliable source, information that they're getting is also they're getting it in a group setting where they're discussing it the way they want to discuss it. I think I have seen folks building that confidence, that leadership skill, that they feel more confident to take back to their homes, their families, speak to their mothers, their fathers about it. And also, we have included sessions where a caregiver was in the room with them. So I think this is all a start, a very important start, if I may say. And but again, I mean, the work is enormous.
Now, can you talk about the partnership opportunities with community based organizations who are probably interested in joining your organization?
Yeah, we are actively seeking for a partnership with community-based organizations because these are the organizations who have relationship with these young folks, and we want to share the space with them. We want to enable them to have their own cohorts. I mean, Alliance would be there to support them, but it's our dream that we can replicate it not just in New York City, but outside of New York City, in the New York State, in the whole country, or even internationally, because this curriculum is so apt and it could be easily tweaked and updated according to the community's need, according to the audience's need, and that's what we are focusing on right now.
Now, what can people do if they're interested in becoming a part of this program?
So we are reaching out to organizations that have youth programs, but other than that, there is also information on our website. They can reach out to us through our website or through the organizations they're already working with, and yeah.
Now, because of the subject matter, will these children or these young people need parent permission to join?
They do need their consent form signed by parents, yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Can you just let everybody know how they can learn more about your organization in general?
Yeah, they can visit us on our website, and they can always send me an email at shilpy at sbfreenyc.org.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about this organization and this program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday.